Today I wanted to take you through how to pot up leggy seedlings, especially if you're a newer gardener and it's your first time growing from seed, or you don't have a proper lighting system in your garden. Your seedlings are going to be leggy, and so I wanted to show you exactly how to fix this problem. And so I have a couple options today here. The first one is tomatoes, where you can see that I've got some nice sized height ones here, and then I have one really tall one. So I'm going to show you how to fix this tall tomato here. And then I also have some kale that has flopped over and some romaine lettuce that are leggy as well. So I'm going to show you how to pot up both the lettuce and the tomato, and maybe we'll do a kale as well. And I'm going to show you that some plants look leggy, but they're actually not leggy. That's just how they grow. And so it's important to recognize the difference, but that mainly comes with experience and time if you've been growing things year over year. And so I'm going to show you how to do that today. I've got my tools with me here. So I have some soil that's already in larger containers. I've got my plants. I have one empty pot here because this is important, and I'll show you why later. I have my trusty spoon and my trusty pencil, and that's really all you need to fix these issues. If you're new here, my name is Bree from Urban Gardening Canada, and I garden in Ottawa Zone 5. I've been growing from seed for about 10 years now, and every year is different. There is situations where your seeds don't do well because the seeds are old, or you've gotten a bad quality set of seeds. I've had seed gate happen to me where I planted zucchini and I got butternut squash, and it really depends on the weather outside, surprisingly. So if it's really cold this spring, your house actually is cooler than it would be if it's warm out, no matter what your thermostat says. And so that could also be playing an issue with your seedlings. You can have bad soil, you could have bad lighting. I haven't transitioned over to LED lights yet, so I still use the original light bulbs, and so they age and the light bulbs aren't as strong as they used to be, and so that's why I get a little bit of this leggy pullingness in my seedlings. And some years just things will go wrong, and there's so many different factors that it's not always you, it can be anything else. But when it comes to leggy seedlings, it really depends on the type of plant and how bad it is. So for example, with the lettuce and the tomatoes, these can be fixed. But if you have really leggy cucumbers or squash or zucchini, where it's maybe 4 or 5 inches long from where it comes out of the soil and to where the leaves are, those ones can't be fixed. And so you're better off sowing those again. And we have time right now to sow them again, and they just need better lighting. The good news is that if you sow them now, you can grow them outside if it warms up, or put them outside during the daytime, so you don't need to rely on grow lights as much later into the season that we get. But for anything like tomatoes or anything in the nightshade family, so tomatoes, eggplants, peppers, you can bury them deeper, which is what I'm going to show you. And with the lettuce and kale and Swiss chard, you also can bury those deeper. I do it all the time. But anything that's in that cucumber or squash family, I highly recommend you start those ones over again if they are too long. I do want to show you my Cosmo plants. So it's a little difficult to see, but my Cosmo ends up here. So this one is quite large. It's almost the length of my hand. And this is just how Cosmos grow. So they look like they've stretched out and they're totally leggy, but you can see I have some marigolds right beside them that are perfectly normal. So it's not the lighting. This is actually just how Cosmos grow. And so for the first couple of years, you might be like, oh my God, my Cosmos are so leggy. I've ruined them. Do I start them over? No. They are going to grow just fine. They're going to have a nice strong stem on them, so don't worry about these ones specifically. Just let them do their tall, lanky thing, and you can worry about these ones once they're outside. But for now, nothing is wrong with them. Okay, before I get into showing you how to pot up seedlings, I did want to mention that I have a course available. It is perfect for newer gardeners, and so this is if you really want to have a strong garden this season, you're worried worried about food security or you want to make sure that you have access to food, this course is going to be perfect for you because it teaches you everything from picking the right seeds to staking your plants so that way they can survive any type of weather, how to take care of your soil so that way your plants get the right nutrients, which means you're going to get big harvest, and how to close down your garden at the end of the season. It does the full cycle. And so this course is perfect for anybody who wants to make sure that they build a strong, successful garden this season. If you're interested, there's also a free preview available. So I'll put that in the link below for you. But otherwise, let's talk about how to upgrade seedlings. Okay, so I am going to turn the camera down so that way you get less of me and more of the plants, so that way you can see exactly what's going on. So I like to fill up my soil in advance so that way I have something to work with, and it really just depends on how much roots are in your plant. So I bring an empty container so that way I can scoop soil out of one of these, place it into here, and then move it back into place after. So that's what this empty one is for. So I'm going to put it to the side for now. So let's start with tomatoes because they are the easiest one to work with. And I have a Roma tomato here, and it really shouldn't be as tall as it is. So the first thing I'm going to do is just try and gently take it out. Now, if you are newer to gardening, as you're squeezing the bottom of the package, you're going to want to gently tug on one of the leaves so you can slowly pull it up as you're pushing along here. I personally like to hold the stem, but the problem with holding the stem is that if you pull too hard and you break the stem, you've broken your plant. Versus if you're pulling on a leaf, if you rip a leaf off, it can grow a new leaf, especially since these are just the seed leaves anyways, and these are the true leaves. But for me personally, I just really like to hold on to the stem. I find it easier. All right, so now you have your whole plant here, and what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to bury it till about here. So there's about ½ an inch left over. And so either you can take your handy dandy pencil and treat it just like a dibber that you have in your garden, and you just push it in and rotate it around, and then it gives you all the space to put your plant in. But if you notice that your roots are kind of coming up around here, use the pencil to help coax the roots down. And this is going to help make sure that your plant is going to go as far down as it needs to. And then you can just use your pencil to bury it. So this is as deep as I can get mine to go because that's how deep the tray is. But if you had a deeper one, you could definitely plant it pretty well to the base of the leaves here, and it would happily continue to grow. It wouldn't be feeling like it was drowning or anything. And so now I have a plant that is way lower and much more sturdy, and that's all it takes to be able to change it from a very long and leggy plant to a nice sturdy one. And it's going to actually form more roots and be a lot sturdier in the future, which is really good for us. So for the lettuce, I am just going to try and pull it out of here. I've used these black seed trays for a really long time, so they're broken and cut up and falling apart, and so that's just the way it is. Okay, so here for my lettuce, you'll notice that there is an obvious line from where the soil level was to where that first set of leaves are. And so we're actually going to plant it exactly where the base of the plant is. Because if you think about where a lettuce plant grows, and especially with romaine, when you buy it at the grocery store, you can see that there is a very obvious base to the plant where all of the leaves grow up. And that's exactly here where the seed leaves are and where the plant is growing. And so we're actually going to bury it that deep. And so again, I'm going to take my trusty pencil and make us a hole. And I'm going to push all of the roots in. And then I made the hole bigger than the plant is. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to rest the plant on the soil here. And I'm going to just gently bury around it. And I'm going to use my pencil to push the soil down. And there you have it. We now went from having a leggy lettuce such as this one here, to having one that is buried perfectly at its base. And so we'll just do a second one. Since they're both leggy, we may as well fix them both now. There you go. I think I have a third one here. And so you saw that I had them all planted together in a single cell. And because I'm using seed soil, it's actually very loose because there's not much soil in here. And so it was really easy to coax the roots apart because the soil is so light and airy. And so let's just do it again for this one kale plant so you can see it again. And so I just kind of tip it to the side, squeeze the bottom, and like a toothpaste bottle, you squeeze and work your way up it. It's the same with these cell packs. And I try and do it as gently as possible because for me, it's really important to try and reuse these containers over and over again. And so you have two options. You can plant with all of this soil into the other container, the cell here, but I don't like to do that because then I have to move soil around. So I actually just remove all the soil off of the roots like this. It makes it easier for planting. And same thing again, the base of your kale plant is where the leaves are starting to come out. And so it's the same with when it grows. And so I'm gonna try and bury it as close as I can to that right now, but I probably will leave about 1 centimeter at the base. And then when I do go to plant it outside, when the weather warms up, I'll plant it a little deeper again. Just break up that one root soil ball right there. And again, I'm just going to use the pencil to help put the roots in, and then my trusty spoon to help me move some soil into place. And give it a little squish down so all of the roots make contact with the soil and that the plant is secure in place. And voila, now we have a bunch of plants that used to be leggy that now are quite secure in the soil, and they look perfectly healthy as if nothing even happened. And that's exactly what you want. It's really easy to do, and learning this is such an important skill if you're going to continue to grow from seed. And the benefit of this is that you can take a seedling that looks like it has to be thrown out or removed, and you can just make it healthy again. And so I'm going to go put these back under my grow lights and give them a good watering, although this soil has some nice moisture to it. But if your soil is really dry, it's a lot easier to work with semi-moist soil than it is with dry soil. When I'm using my pencil and making that hole, if your soil is dry, it'll just keep refilling the hole again, versus if you have soil that has a little bit of moisture to it, when you do that hole making, the soil stays in its place. So I recommend making sure the soil is a little bit wet, and then give it just a touch of a watering and keep an eye on it, but it should be good from here on in. As long as you didn't break too many of the roots or crack the stem, then everything should be fine. However, I've broken a big chunk of roots in the past and I've been able to have my plants survive. I also think tomatoes are zombie plants. They're impossible to kill. So really, as long as you have one root available to you, they should survive. So really don't stress about having these leggy seedlings. They can be fixed, and you do have time to replant some of your seeds like cucumbers and zucchinis. Better yet, as soon as your last frost date is gone, you can plant them directly outside. And a lot of times cucumber and zucchini do better direct sown. Otherwise, you can start them just 2 weeks before your last frost date, which means you can have the sun take care of them in the hardening off process, and you don't have to worry about whether you have the right lighting or not. I hope you found today's video helpful. If you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and check out this video here. Bye.